Those feelings of failure are so hard. They're so hard to get over, and they overwhelm people, and some people can't get past them.
I'm going to have setbacks, I know. But if I'm feeling bad, that doesn't mean I'm doing bad. That doesn't mean I am bad. That doesn't mean that I can't still take some action. Because, nothing changes and nothing changes, man.
The bad mistakes that I've made, they've taught me. You learn. That's why failure is so important. The bad feeling that you get from something that you shouldn't have done or wish you didn't do or wish you did better, like especially failing at something where you half-assed it and you just feel like a loser, like that just teaches you.
Well, I expected myself to be perfect, so then I never was because it's impossible. So then, therefore, I'm so hard on myself. Even though it's not realistic, it's impossible for that to come to fruition, but it's up to me then. So that's why I think I was so hard on myself a lot of times, I think, because then at least it puts it on me.
It's dangerous to dwell on past mistakes because people sort of define themselves by the worst moments that they've ever had. And if that's the case, like some people are stuck in high school. They're stuck in failures that they had like when they were first getting jobs, and they always think that they're a loser, and they don't like the feeling of failure, so they keep low expectations so that they never have to feel that. You got to get through it. You got to get through bad feelings. You got to get through failure. It's very important. And you get through it by just picking yourself back up and moving forward and going. If you dedicate your time and your focus, like realistically, with a professional, disciplined effort to creativity, you show up every day like a professional, but you show up to be creative. If you just do it on a regular basis, ideas will come to you. So every day, at the same time, you sit down in front of your keyboard and you start working. And just put in the work and force yourself to do it. You force it like a muscle, like the same muscle that you develop when you go running every day. And then you get to the point where like 7 days in, you start feeling good running.
Right. So you start to feel like you're good at it.
You start feeling like you're getting better.
Yeah.
But it's hard for a lot of people because that sting, they never get over it, the feeling of failure. And they don't have a good support system, like good friends. Like having a good community of friends is very, very important.
I'm going to see what happens when I decide that I am qualified. What happens when I decide for myself that I'm going to do something different?
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff. You could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous that other people were scared of. And that gave me immense confidence and also a real understanding of the direct correlation between hard work and success.
I want everything to be perfect before something happens. That's how I am. I want everything to be, look, as soon as everything gets all lined up, gets all perfect, then this will happen. I'm never going to get to that where everything's okay, where everything looks a certain way. And in the meantime, I'm burning the best time I do have available.
When someone like you does something that's exceptional and says something that's exceptional and has these inspirational words, it can change a person's whole life, change their whole path, change who they are. I've gotten so many messages from people that say, I lost 130 pounds. I did this. I got off sugar. I'm running every day. I hit the gym 5 days a week now. I'm a different person. I'm drinking water. I'm exercising. I take vitamins. I'm eating healthy. We all had jobs. We all felt like losers. But through time and effort, you build a stronger human. You build a stronger body. You build a stronger mind. You build accomplishments and will and momentum. And then you look back and you go, hey man, I'm not washing tables anymore. I'm not washing dishes. I'm not cutting lawns. I'm not digging ditches.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a different person now.
I'm just not quite sure what I want to do with my life. You know, I work hard. I don't get the best grades in school, but I work hard. And I just want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think a young man should do?
I would just find something that you kind of like, and if you don't know what you like, then try things until you find something you do.
The people that come up to you and say, I don't know what to do. What should I do? How do I do it?
Yeah.
How do I get going? But you're going to have to figure it out, one foot in front of the other.
Exactly.
You're going to have to find a thing and keep working at it and get better at it. That's one of the things that I like so much about martial arts. They let anybody in.
Yep.
Anybody in, and then from learning how to do that, you get better, and then you realize, damn, I can get better at anything.
Yeah.
Because it's so. The first time I ever did jiu-jitsu, I remember just being manhandled so bad, going, man, I'll never be good at this. This is terrible. I'm awful at this. And this is, I'd already been a black belt in Taekwondo and already kickboxed. I did a bunch of shit. I was like, I can't believe I'm starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
But that, at least I knew then that I already done that before. I'd already started from scratch.
Exactly.
So like I had some experience and started from scratch. I'm like, all I have to do is just put in the time and the effort here.
And so you got to try things, man. That's how you'll know. You got to try things. But don't feel bad about yourself because you don't know. You don't not know. You haven't decided yet. Anything can happen. Possibility. You still have possibility. And here's how you find out. You got to try. Try and reframe it, man. I'm afraid I'll realize that I'm not good enough or I was never capable enough in the first place. I set this weird bar in my mind that everything needs to be perfect or everything needs to be perfect. But then I also know this thing about myself that I procrastinate sometimes.
If you don't have a goal, you have no positive emotion. What would satisfy me? And you might think, well, I could never get that. And I could say, well, maybe not, but I'll tell you one thing, man. You can move towards it. And I know that everyone who knows the underlying neuroscience knows this. Almost all the pleasure is in the moving toward. I take responsibility. You asked that, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid of my own goals because of the responsibility. It's like, well, you're either going to be responsible to yourself or you're going to be responsible to a tyrant, or you're going to be absolutely lost. That's your option set.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Yeah, bet. Pick one: tyranny, slavery, or something approximating visionary self-determination that's so high that there's just no possibility that a schlub like you could ever manage it. But God only knows what your upper limit is, But if you set up a goal that you think is, just on the edge of conceivability, then every time you move even a tiny bit towards that, you're going to think, good work, man, good work. You get a little kick from that.
Yeah.
You get a little stronger from that. Okay, you're just fine. Well, great. You might as well just take Ambien and become unconscious because you got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's plenty for you to do to put yourself together. But you're the sort of person who could do it. You could put yourself together. You could be more than you are, and you should be, because otherwise the world degenerates into hell,
Yeah.
which is exactly what happens. It's like, and when people say, they're aimless, they're partly telling you that they're anxious, but they're also telling you that they have no positive emotion. So then you say, well, what sort of goal should you have? Because that's the next question, right? And the answer to that is, well, ask yourself. And it's so sad in some sense for me to see how little encouragement people actually need, because there's lots of people coming to talk to me and they say, well, I haven't had a father, or there was no male influence in my life, or no one's ever, well, that's basically it. They haven't had that kind of encouraging influence. And so no one's ever said these things to them. And so someone says something to them and they go, oh, really? That's the possibility? And then they go out and fix things. It didn't take much.
What matters most is how you walk through the fire.
Well, how you walk through the fire. I mean, you can walk through the fire complaining along the way, or you can walk through the fire and create an example for everyone else so that the trials and tribulations of their own life seem trivial because they're comparing themselves to the way you handle things, or the way you handle things with grace and dignity and discipline can show other people that they can handle their own life this way. And there's beauty in that.